Hi everybody. We are going to kind of explore our syllabus together. This is going to be a little bit of a long video, but I do encourage you to kind of stick with it because this is all the important information that we need to be on the same page about in order to help us find success in this course. The syllabus is a very important document that sometimes maybe we kind of dismiss its value. What it essentially is it's sort of a contract between you and I on the steps that we're going to be taking to help you succeed in this course. Can I say anymore? Let's count. We need to be sure that we're all on the same page with this document. So we will take some time to go through it together. And I know this is a video and I'm assuming that you're going to watch the entire thing, but if you don't, it is absolutely essential that you review the syllabus on your own as well, because everything that we're going to do in this course is spelled out. All of our policies, all of our tips and strategies for success, and by that I mean all of our extra credit, what the assignments are, how much they're worth, how much they're weighted, what my expectations are of you, what your expectations of me can be. All that stuff is in this document. So if you do not stick with this video, there's my fan, I encourage you to do review this document. If you have any questions at all, let's post them in that general discussion forum or email me, whatever means of communication that you prefer. Let's get those questions answered, because this right here is our path, our written path to success. Alright, so let's get started. Yay, I know you're excited. Just like with any syllabus, you got our contact information here right at the top. What our class is, all that good stuff. Here's my, ooh, that's getting big. Here is my contact information. My name. You can email me at mrowan@binmich.edu. There should be a U on that. Yay. You can text me at my phone number. I typically will not answer the phone if I don't know who it is, so if you want to communicate through phone calls, be sure to text me first and say, hey, this is me, and then I can have your information. And I know that you're not just, a call center asking for money. I don't have a traditional office because, I don't have a traditional office. But if we need to meet, if we need to talk, we can make arrangements. I do work in Mount Pleasant, so we'll kind of make any arrangements that we need in order to talk things out. But you can email me, post on the general discussion forum, we can chat, and we can text as well. Required materials. This is a big question for this class. What are the required materials? Good news, I don't require you guys to buy a book because I might have strong opinions on that whole forcing students to buy books thing. However, you do need to have an accepted documentation style manual relevant to your field. What, Rowan, is that? What it is each profession has a type of writing. For example, English majors will write an MLA, which you guys are probably familiar with. Nurses might write an APA or an AMA. There are different standards of writing for each profession. And what we're going to do, one of the first things that we're going to do together, is kind of explore which documentation style is appropriate for the field of interest that you are exploring. We'll talk more about field of interest later. So while I do not require you to buy a book, you will need to get a documentation style manual relevant to your field. Good thing about that is there's a lot of online resources available out there, and there's going to be several that I suggest that you use over others. So you might not have to actually purchase a documentation style or manual. You can check some out from the library. We can talk together about good website and online resources to support you. The WRC has a lot of material available. So you don't have to buy a book necessarily, but you might have to buy a documentation style manual if we can't find one out there, but I'll do everything I can to help you find one. Do not assume what your writing style will be. We're actually going to have some discussions on helping to make sure that you are using the right documentation style. So even if you are an English major, don't go out there and buy an MLA doc style book just yet. And on that note, and we will cover this a lot as we move forward, do not use automatic citation generators. We'll talk about why later, and I will know every time you do so. So let's make sure that we'll talk, and we will make sure that you have the appropriate doc style to use, and then we'll talk about how to get you a good doc style manual. Hopefully you won't have to buy one, maybe you have to, but we'll do library stuff and see if we can get one for you. Supplemental materials, you'll need the traditional supplemental materials to help support your success. USB drive, you need to have a computer internet access. There isn't any way around that for success in this course. You do need to have a computer and internet access that is reliable. Cool thing is, if you don't have a computer at home, MMCC has a ton of on-campus computers for you to use at both of the locations, and also the LLS, I don't know if you guys know that, have actual computers that you can check out and take home. Another big thing that you guys are going to have to commit is time. This is a very time-heavy class, and we need to be on the same page here. You need to have some time dedicated to your success. This is a required class. I'm going to do what I can to make it a little bit easier for you, but you will have to set time aside in order to succeed in this course. Time commitment can range between 4 to 8 hours. Sometimes it's going to be 2, sometimes it's going to be 12. Okay, this is a required class. You have to pass it in order to graduate. So let's do everything we can to make sure that you do succeed, and part of that is making sure that you set time aside. And if time management has not been a thing that you're super successful with in the past, let's talk strategies and we'll find a way to make sure that you are scheduling that time that you need to succeed. Course outcomes, I'm going to let you guys read through those on your own, but they're essentially what we are going to take away from this class. Just briefly, analytical reasoning, the appropriate use of sources, diverse perspectives on a given topic, quantitative reasoning, communicative fluency, that just means that you're going to learn how to write well, and ethical discourse, the conversation that we're going to be having in these papers. Also, the expectations of the discourse community that you're joining, we'll talk about that shortly. Problem solving, topical research, formatting is a big part of it, and editing. Alright, and you guys can read through those. If you have any questions, you let me know. Policies, this is the fun part. This is our course overview. English 222 is a very self-directed course. I'm the guide here to help you succeed. You guys have a lot of expectations to me, and we'll work together to make sure that you meet them. But the big thing is we're going to be writing an 18 to 20 page research position paper. And again, like I said in my introduction video, writing might not be your thing, and that's okay. And that big 18 to 20 page paper might be terrifying right now. I don't want you to focus on that. Let's not focus on that 20-page paper. The way this class is designed is to support your success. All of our assignments are going to work together to build to that 20-page paper. So don't worry about that 20-page paper yet. That's for future us to get to. Right now, we're just going to start taking those steps to get there. But that is our big goal. We're going to write 18 pages, and you guys will do it. It'll be an amazing moment of success for you when you do hand that paper in. But don't worry about it right now. We'll get there. We will be writing an original thesis of our own that fits the discourse community that you're going into. Essentially, you're going to be writing an original idea in the field of interest that you're pursuing. I do want to note that this class is not designed to write English paper. If you're an English major, you're going to be writing an English paper. But if you're a nursing major, you're going to be writing a medical paper. And we'll talk more about that as we go. The weekly routine class starts on Monday and ends on Sunday at 11:50. I will always open the class on Sunday. Sometimes maybe earlier in the afternoon, sometimes right before midnight. But it will always open Sunday and be ready to go for you on Monday. Class runs from Monday until Sunday, so you'll have access to class on Monday, and class will close on Sunday at 11:50, not at 11:51. Class ends at 11:50, which means for you guys, you got to get all those assignments in by 11:50. And we'll talk about late stuff in just a minute. So Monday to Sunday is when our coursework will be explored. Attendance is an interesting thing with online classes, right? Attendance is expected, and what I mean by that is participation is expected. You're in this class, you are supporting your success by taking this class. It's a required class, so let's participate so that you can find that success, pass the class, and then move on with your life, right? Each week, each assignment builds upon one another, so it is imperative for you to attend class. So how does one attend an online class? Great question. Participation. By participating, you are attending class. We want to be actively posting in our discussion forums, joining in any online activities, submitting those assignments, communicating with me. That's all how you participate. There is no points for attendance. However, you are expected to submit your work at given points throughout the week. So let's make sure that we are participating actively. Make sure that you post each assignment by Sunday, though I strongly encourage you to do so earlier if you can. And let's make sure that we post the initial, if I could speak, it'd be so much easier to teach, right? Post your initial response to any discussion board by Thursday, and we will talk more about that as it comes. But do actively participate. You're here to support your success. Dive right into class, and let's work together to help ensure that you do achieve that success. Preparedness and ownership. Those are two big words that, what do they mean? Class can be and should be fun. I know English, yay, it's fun. It's an amazing roller coaster of enjoyment. It is for me. Not necessarily for you. But we can choose how we approach this class. It can be dreaded and boring and ridiculous. Or it can be interesting and maybe entertaining and of some value to you outside of this class. So be sure that you have a positive mindset. Yeah, this class is big, it's heavy, but it doesn't have to be dreadful. And if you find yourself bogged down by the expectations or that negativity that we talked about in the introduction video, and you're feeling like you just can't do it, talk with me and we'll find a way to get you back on success. Be prepared for the expectations of your own success in this class. That's my fan, you'll hear it sometime. Respect is, we don't really need to explore through respect. It's expected on my part and your part as well. Anytime we're disrespectful, it inhibits our opportunity as well as others to learn. So let's be positive and supportive, and let's keep any disrespectful stuff outside of the class. We're here to support each other and have a good time. Another part of preparedness and ownership is that thing I mentioned about not writing English papers. It's an English class, but we're not writing English papers unless you are an English major. You've learned a pattern of writing, likely MLA. In this class, if I could speak, I'm going to be asking you to learn a different approach, likely. APA, AMA, Harvard, IEEE. I know that maybe you don't know what these are yet, but you'll learn as we go through class. Be open to a different pattern of writing. That's what that documentation style will be helping us with. Maybe you're used to using thousands of quotes in a paper, not 1,000, we don't want to use that many, but maybe you're used to writing quote-heavy papers because that's what MLA likes. If you're writing APA, maybe we won't be using quotes so much, instead we'll be using paraphrase content. This is all stuff that we'll be talking about as course goes. So be willing to open new forms of writing. Be willing to be open to new forms of writing. Another thing that I'm asking you to be willing to do is reading your articles thoroughly. You cannot write 20 pages on a topic without doing your reading first. So be willing to read your research articles, and I will be talking about strategies. We'll be having open discussions about strategies to help that reading be a little bit more manageable. Again, just like with writing, reading's not everybody's thing, and I know that this is a lot that I'm asking you to do, but it is one of those core requirements of the class. We have to read through these articles in order to be able to write that paper. So let's be sure that we're setting time aside. If reading is not our thing, talk to me. We can talk about strategies for success. The WRC is here to support you as well with reading. So let's talk. But be willing to support your success with that reading as well. Procrastination. Procrastination is a thing. I am making this video probably about 4 hours before I have to post it. So we all procrastinate. It is something that we as humans do. And if you don't procrastinate, awesome. Can you tell me how you don't do that? And that's okay. Procrastination can be a powerful motivator. However, it can also kick us in the butt too. We want to use procrastination as a motivator. Have that deadline. Say an assignment's due by Sunday. So you're not going to think about it until Tuesday. That's procrastination. You're allowing that natural part of you to be a motivator. So Tuesday you buckle down. Procrastination kicks us in the butt when we wait until the very last minute. Your assignment's due on Sunday, you don't even open it until Sunday. You might not be able to find that success. So let's use procrastination as the motivator that it can be and not use it to drown our success in. And I want to dispel this misconception that we procrastinators tend to have. I write so much better on a deadline. That's totally not true. What you do is you write faster. And I do this all the time. I got a deadline for a short story. I'm going to wait until that day it's due. And then I write dribble. We do not write better that last minute. We write faster. So you're going to procrastinate. Have that deadline on Tuesday or Wednesday. Do not wait until Sunday to do your assignments. You will not find success if we do that. And if time management is not your thing, let's talk. Let's find strategies for success. The next thing that we're going to talk about is communication. You have to use your midmish.edu email address. That is how I will communicate with you. I will never ask for your personal email. That's too much information for me to keep straight anyways. I will communicate with you through your midmich.edu email address. You need to regularly check your midmich email. I know that there are ways for you to be able to forward that to your preferred email if you want. You can even get notifications on your phone. But that is how I will communicate with you. You need to check it. And saying 3 weeks after I email you, oh, I didn't check my email, that might not be the best strategy for success. So let's make sure that we are checking that, sporadically throughout the week at least. I do ask you to not wait until Sunday night to email me a question, because I am a giant dork and I will probably be in bed by 9. So if you email me at 9 and you have a question about the assignment that's due at 11:50, I might not be able to get there to be able to support your success. So let's make sure we are, checking and communicating regularly. And I think that this goes without saying, but let's not use any chat or SMS lingo, any of that kind of stuff. And when you are emailing me, remember that we are professionals in training, so let's try and be professional and polite in our email communications. Ooh, that got real big. And now everybody's favorite, homework and coursework. Yay! Excuse me while I take a sip of my coffee. Homework and coursework are essentially the work that we have to do in this class. We are expected to complete all assignments for this course. Does that mean that all assignments are required? Not necessarily. We are adults, but most of them are required. And the way that you will be able to tell if an assignment is required is this guy right here. This is Philip J. Fry from The Best Show Ever, Futurama. He's going to be on those. You absolutely have to submit something in assignments. There's only 1 or 2 assignments that maybe you could choose to not do. However, I strongly encourage you to do all of them, because points are how we get A's or B's or C's. So let's start the class by wanting to do everything in order to build and support that kind of bedrock of points. And we'll talk about why that's important in just a couple minutes. The majority of our assignments will be mandatory, however, which means you need to turn something in. Life happens, and maybe Sunday rolls around and you're just not finding success with a given assignment. Turn in what you have. Some points are better than no points, right? So, due dates and turning it in. All assignments must be submitted by 11:50 on Sunday. 11:50 p.m. the Sunday, because apparently it's the Sunday of each week, unless otherwise discussed. Occasionally, assignment due dates might change, and I will always communicate with you if that happens. It doesn't happen very often. This is important. I will not, under any circumstances, accept an email submission without prior discussion. If you're going to be out of town, and maybe you're not going to have regular internet access, let me know before you go, and then we can talk about you emailing that. But if you just coldly email me an assignment, I might not even see it. I get so many emails a day, and that's not going to be supportive of your success. So do not just email me an assignment without talking to me about it, okay? And then if you have to email it, at least we'll have communication, and I'll be expecting it. But don't just cold email stuff to me. Formatting. We need to have our assignments in a Word-compatible format, .doc, .docx, .rtf. This is important because the way that I will give you feedback is by putting comments on the actual Word document that you send me. So if I cannot open a document to inappropriate file formatting, you will not be able to receive credit for it. So let's make sure that we are saving in .doc, .docx, or .rtf. This will be the first class where I'm going to allow Google Docs, and I'm very hesitant to do so because Google Docs isn't necessarily format friendly. What I mean by that is some of the formatting that we will be doing in this course, like my IEEEers out there, you're going to have to be writing in columns, and if you don't know how to do that in Google Docs, you won't necessarily be able to find success. So as long as you are able to format appropriately and as required by your doc style in Google Docs, we can work together and see if that's going to be something that's going to support your success. If you don't know how to format properly, then you need to use a Word-compatible word processor and submit as a .doc or .docx. And again, this is a work in progress with Google Docs. We might have to go back to not using Google Docs, but if you want to try it, I'm willing to try it, and we'll see if we can find success with that specific formatting. Until we get to our doc style requirements, all assignments are expected to be typed. I feel like that's kind of a duh statement since we're submitting everything on the computer. Double space, size 12 font, Times New Roman or Calibri, unless otherwise dictated by your chosen doc style. So until you choose your doc style, let's use size 12 Times New Roman or Calibri. And please don't be one of those students that changes the size of the periods. I can always tell. And let's make sure that we are using double spaces. And this kind of also seems like another duh statement. Please put your name on that assignment because sometimes I download all of the assignments as I'm grading them, and I might not have that link right there that says, hey, this is from Rowan. So please put your name on them too. And this is one of the policies that everybody's interested. What is our late assignment policy? I don't really like to accept late assignments, and the reason is it's not to be harsh or cruel or not understanding of what's going on in your life. It's because it's an exponentially bigger amount of work for me and when we have late assignments, and it might as a result inhibit your success in this class. So I strongly encourage you guys to submit everything you can when it's due, but I also understand that life happens outside of class. Maybe a car broke down and you had to work an extra shift. I get it. Sometimes things go awry. As such, I will accept one late assignment, no questions asked. You'll get full credit that you earn for that one assignment, and just one freebie. So let's choose it wisely. Maybe let's not choose our first assignment for our late freebie. Let's use that one wisely. And I will not accept any assignment later than 3 days from its original due date, which means if you're not going to hit that deadline on Sunday, it will be due by Wednesday. There are some assignments that I will not accept late for any reason at all, and again, that's due to the heavy amount of grading. Primarily, this will be your rough draft and your final draft, and I will always communicate clearly if this is an assignment that I don't accept late. After that, after that first freebie, if you submit a second or third or fourth or whatever assignment late, it will be 50% off, which means it will not be a passing grade, but again, some points are better than no points. So always turn something in and always communicate with me if something's going on in your life and you're not going to hit that deadline. Let's talk and see if we can find an alternative pathway for your success. So that's my late assignment policy. I know it's not super cool. Let me get one freebie. Everything else is going to be 50% off, and I do not accept anything after 3 days. Alright, drop policy. This is a very heavy class, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. If you feel the need to drop, talk with me and we'll see what we can do to get you back on track. You can do this, and we can work together, and I encourage you to not drop no matter how hard it can be, how hard it may seem for you to get back on track. I've had students that have had massive things go awry in their class and still find success. Let's talk it out before you drop. We might be able to get you back on track. However, if you do determine that you need to drop this class, make sure you do so officially. I have to continue to give you a grade if you stop attending my class and do not drop appropriately, which means if you make that decision to drop halfway through the course, but you don't do it through the proper channels, you're still on my class roster and I have to give you zeros. And that means that you're going to get an F on your transcripts, and we don't want that. Like, if this class isn't a good fit right now, let's get you officially withdrawn so that you don't fail. But again, I encourage you guys to stick with it. You can do this. We just need to talk together to find that path of success to you. Alright, self-entitlement policy / clause. This one might seem a little weird for you guys. What it is there tends to be an expectation among some students that their situation is unique or deserving of special treatment. And true, we all have different situational standpoints, and each of our situations are unique. However, I don't want you guys to have an expectation because you have 2 jobs that is going to afford you special treatment for a couple different reasons. A, I've got 3 jobs, and you guys will have expectations for me to get those papers back to you in a reasonable time. We have all committed to this class for our success, and therefore we should not be expecting extra special treatment for outside factors. That being said, again, if you're having issues outside of class, let's talk and we'll see what we can do to find success. But do not just email me and be like, dude, Rowan, I had to pick up an extra shift, I'm out. Let's talk about it. but I will hold all of us to the same standards of success for this class. You're all expected to turn that work in. I'm expected to get all those assignments back to you quickly. Let's work together for your success, but do not expect extra special entitlements, maybe extra special extensions, that kind of stuff, just because. Let's have, a conversation. Let's be adults about what's going on in your life, and then we'll see what we can do to support your success. And this is everyone's favorite thing. You will have assignments over spring break and Thanksgiving break. We got a lot of stuff to do, so we need to have the time to get it done. But again, if you find yourself struggling, talk with me, and we'll see what we can do to support your success. Alright, I told you this was going to be a long one. Thanks for sticking with me so far. Your grading and your assignments, I'm largely going to let you guys read through this yourself, but I do want to touch base on what our actual assignments are. Again, this is important. Those assignments are due Sunday at 11:50, not 11:51. So let's make sure we get them in before 11:50. And Moodle is great. It's amazing, especially the new one that we're using. However, it's not infallible, which means sometimes if we're all trying to turn our stuff in at 11:50, the system will bog down, the little elves will set fire to it. I don't understand how it works. But there might be a technical difficulty with you getting your assignment in, so maybe let's not wait until 11:51 to get that assignment in when we can turn it in a little bit earlier. We talked about participation and attendance, and there's an important part in here that I want to point out. There are no attendance points. However, attendance is measured by your weekly participation in class. If you do not participate for 3 weeks, meaning you do not turn in any assignments, you don't post in the discussion boards, and I don't hear from you, I will not review that final paper. I will reach out to you if I haven't heard from you for a few days and say, hey, what's going on? But if there's no communication, I kind of have to assume that you're going to be withdrawing from the class. I'll reach out and be like, hey, is that what's going on? But if there's no communication or participation for 3 weeks, I will not review that final paper. It's not fair to the other students. And unfortunately, this would equate to a failing grade. So if something's going on, let's talk. Let's find a path for your success. We will have a couple discussion boards. I'm not one of those professors that forces you guys to talk to each other regularly over inane topics. I used to be, but it's more frustrating for us, I think, to have to do a weekly discussion forum that doesn't necessarily foster productive discussion. So I dropped it down to 4. 4 times you guys will be expected to actually talk to each other. Though I strongly encourage you to discuss things in our general discussion forum, there will be 4 times where you're required to do so. And these will be week 3, week 6, week 9, week 14. The important thing here is to make sure that you do post initially by Thursday. We do have some lecture questions throughout the semester. We'll have 10 of them for a total of 100 points, and that's going to be 5% of your overall grade. So please do not blow these little quizzes off. Everything that's going to be in these little quizzes will be in the lecture somewhere. All the questions will, and sometimes because maybe we've got like a writing week, they'll be relatively easy questions to answer. So I encourage you to get in and do these. This is a good way to pad that grade, to make sure that you've got some point values if we don't necessarily do super stellar on that final paper. This is a good way to kind of make sure you've got extra points to play with in there. We do have a couple small essays that we will be writing. I mean, it is a writing class. The first one is a personal analysis essay, and this is where you're going to talk about your strengths and weaknesses and where I get a feel for where you're at and where we need to kind of go with this class. We will have 2 topic proposals on that big research paper that we're going to be talking about in just a couple minutes. We will have, I talked a little bit about the documentation style, documentation manual. We will determine what that is by doing documentation style research. And we'll actually do an extra credit doc style template to make sure that we are on path. I told you you'd hear my docs at some point. We'll do a couple annotated bibliographies, and I will be frank with you, these are the single most hated assignments for this class, even more than that big paper. I have made them as user-friendly as I can, and there is a significant extra credit opportunity here as well. And we'll talk more about what annotated bibliographies are and why people love them so much as they get closer. But there will be 2 of them. We will do an actual formal research proposal after our topic proposals about midway through the semester, a little bit before midway through the semester. We will do 2 outlines. Outlines are our friends. They are our required friends, and we will actually do a skeleton outline, which is kind of just a bare bones outline, and then a zombie outline where we'll actually write a paragraph under each one of our outline points, and that actually is going to end up being a significant part of your paper done by the zombie outline. So you can start to kind of see how all these assignments build upon each other. A couple times through the semester we will have quote-unquote individual meetings, and what they are is they're essentially opportunities for you to talk to me one-on-one through our Moodle assignment area. You will post 3 questions, and it's going to be as an assignment so nobody else will see them. 3 questions, 3 concerns that you have with your writing, with your documentation style, with your research, anything, so that we can have a conversation about how to support your success. We will actually do them 3 times throughout the semester. 2 are required. 1 is an extra credit opportunity. And we'll talk more about them as they come. You'll have a half draft. This is where you're going to take your zombie outline and you're going to flesh it out to a full 9 pages. It's going to be a full half draft. And this is a little bit after the halfway point of the semester. So you will have the majority, or half of your paper, for many of you, the majority of your paper written well before that final paper is due. From the half draft, we go on to our rough draft. As these assignments get bigger, you do notice that their percentage total increases. For example, our half draft is going to be worth 2.5% of our overall grade. The rough draft would be worth 5% of our overall grade. The rough draft is going to be 15 to 18 pages of composition, and I'll actually assess it as though it's your final draft too. It'll be assessed twice. So with the rough draft, which is going to be due Sunday, April 8th, well before that final paper is due, 2 weeks before it's due, and you'll have 2 weeks to do this assignment. We'll talk about that more as the time comes. I will assess it as a rough draft and as a final draft, so that 2 weeks before that final draft is due, you'll see where you're standing. You'll see if you've got a passing paper. Like, how cool is that? And I will tell you specifically, all right, this is your rough draft. To make it a stellar final draft, this is what you'll have to do to get that 100%. So well before that paper's due, you're going to have an idea of where you're standing. We will do a single peer evaluation workshop activity. The important thing here is to make sure that we post by Thursday to give an opportunity for our peers to actually evaluate our work. And again, we'll talk about it a little bit more as it comes. The thing about peer evaluations that I will kind of hone in a little bit as we go through this course is do not be afraid of peer evaluations. They are here to help us be the best writers that we can be. And it's a very supportive activity. I'm really actually excited about them every time they come around. And then here's that final paper. I'll actually post another video talking about the final paper so that you can review that as well. But to kind of give you the bare bones information, it needs to be 18 to 20 pages of text. Many of my students, believe it or not, turn in 20 to 25 pages. You get on a roll in this class, all of your assignments build upon the next one, and then all of a sudden you're writing this huge paper that you never thought you could. It is so cool. It's going to reflect a clear knowledge and understanding of the discourse community. We'll go over all that kind of stuff throughout the course of the class. The important thing is, got to hit that minimum page count of 18 pages, and we have to use 12 academic sources in our paper. We have to actually use them. We can't just list them in the works cited or reference page. And we will use them to support and synthesize with what we're talking about. Use all 12 sources. It's a big, scary thing, but don't worry about it. We'll get you there. We'll talk more about it in the other video. We'll talk about it throughout the class. You guys totally got this. Do not let this paper scare you. It's just another assignment, and we'll get you there. As I say that, the big scary thing about it is it's worth 66% of your final paper. That's why we have some smaller assignments here to make up that other percentage. So even if we don't get 100% on that final paper, you're still going to get amazing point value from this other stuff to kind of help support your success in this class. Our last final paper is going to be another personal analysis where we kind of reflect on how this journey has impacted those strengths and weaknesses that we talked about before. We do have several extra credit opportunities, and I always have students like, is this real? Are you really giving us these many extra credit opportunities? And I mentioned before, I'm not in this business to promote failure. I'm in this business to promote success, to help you guys have that confidence that you can do this. You can do this. But you know what? Sometimes life happens and we don't do as stellar on this assignment as we wanted to. That's why we have extra credit, so that we can earn those points back. Perfect attendance. Perfect attendance is one. If you actually participate every week, I'm going to give you 20 points. How awesome is that? You're here, you paid for this class, you have to do it anyways, and so if you show up in class, I'll give you 20 points. super cool. And we do have a couple different opportunities. We actually have an extra discussion section for extra credit discussions. That's really hard to say in our Moodle space, and I'll show you where that is in another video. Here is our grading scale. I'll let you guys review that. Then we have a couple additional policies. Academic dishonesty. You guys know you got to do your own work. Plagiarism is a big thing here. I will never assume you're plagiarizing, but if I'm noticing something that's looking like plagiarism, we'll talk about it and find another way to kind of clarify what we're doing, because maybe when we're plagiarizing we don't realize that we're plagiarizing, but in instances where we are absolutely legitimately plagiarizing, we'll talk about it and we'll see what we can do to correct that. If it continues and persists, unfortunately any proven case of plagiarism will result in failure. That is a college academic dishonesty policy. We've got a big screen again, some emergency procedures. We've got our ADA procedures and discussion. The Clery Act compliance. I do encourage you guys to read through all of these college-wide policies. Our FERPA policy. The WRC is an amazing group of people here to support your success. I work very closely with them. I'm friends with most of them. They are here to support you with 222. So I encourage you, if you are struggling at all, connect with them and they'll be happy to discuss some course concepts, help you with that reading aspect, even review your papers and that kind of stuff. And then finally we have, our tentative course outline, in which I review literally everything that we will be talking about each week, what your assignments are, when they're due, all that jazz. Hey, spring break, cool. All that kind of stuff. So yay, that's the syllabus. I told you it was going to be a long one. If you stuck with it, awesome. Thanks for doing so. I know it's big, long, and boring, and we all don't necessarily enjoy this, but again, it's like that contract that helps us kind of talk about and discuss the same page to make sure we're all on the same page with this. So if you have any questions at all, let's talk about it. I know I kind of talked about it to death here. You guys totally got this. If you have any questions, let me know.